The transport shuttle docked with Threshold 7 station at exactly 0800 hours. Jiwoo pressed her face against the small window, watching the massive structure rotate slowly against the backdrop of the gas giant below. She had dreamed of this moment for 3 years, a posting on a deep space research station. A chance to study alien life forms that no other human had ever documented. This was everything she had worked for. The airlock hissed open. Jiwoo grabbed her single duffel bag and stepped into the station. The gravity felt slightly heavier than Earth standard. She noticed it immediately in her knees and lower back. The air smelled metallic and clean, scrubbed by the life support systems. A massive figure waited in the corridor ahead. Jiwoo had seen pictures of Draxians before, but nothing prepared her for the reality. Commander Rockthor stood nearly 3 meters tall. His scales were deep green and looked thick as armor plating. Each of his arms was as thick as Jiwoo's entire torso. When he moved, the deck plates trembled slightly under his weight. "Specialist Jiwoo," his voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Welcome to Threshold 7. I am Commander Rockthor." Jiwoo extended her hand. It looked like a child's hand next to his massive clawed palm. He shook it carefully, as if afraid he might crush her bones. Maybe he was afraid of exactly that. "Thank you, Commander. I'm excited to begin work." Rockthor's eyes, golden with vertical pupils, studied her for a long moment. Jiwoo had heard variations of this her entire life. At 5'4" and 120 pounds, she was petite even by human standards. "I assure you, Commander, my qualifications are solid. I graduated top of my class in xenobiology, and I do not question your academic credentials," Rockthor interrupted. "I question your physical durability. This station houses dangerous specimens. Many are apex predators from their home worlds. Your species is..." He paused, searching for a diplomatic word. "Fragile." The word stung more than Jiwoo wanted to admit. "Humans have been working in xenobiology for decades, Commander. In controlled environments? Yes, but this is a frontier station. Safety protocols can fail. Equipment malfunctions. Specimens escape." He turned and began walking down the corridor. Jiwoo had to jog to keep up with his long strides. Last month, a Velkin engineer lost an arm to a specimen breach. The Velkin have exoskeletons and redundant circulatory systems. They survive injuries that would kill a human instantly. They pass through several sections of the station. Crew members of various species stopped to stare at Jiwoo. A pair of insectoid engineers clicked their mandibles in what might have been conversation or laughter. 3 Draxian security officers looked at her with obvious pity. Rockthor led her to the xenobiology lab. The space was impressive, with dozens of containment units lining the walls. Through reinforced glass, Jiwoo could see specimens from worlds she had only read about. Creatures with too many limbs. Beings that existed partially out of phase with normal space-time. A predator that appeared to be made entirely of living crystal. "You will work here," Rockthor said. "You will document specimen behavior. You will analyze biological data. You will not enter the containment areas. You will not participate in specimen transfers. You will not engage in any activity that puts you in proximity to the creatures themselves." Jiwoo felt her excitement draining away. "Commander, with respect, that's not xenobiology. That's data entry. That is survival." Rockthor's voice hardened. "I have read the reports on human physiology. Your bones are hollow compared to Draxian bones. Your skin tears easily. You heal, slowly. A scratch that would inconvenience my species could cause you to bleed to death. I will not have a human death on my station, because I allowed you to take unnecessary risks. Other humans work in dangerous environments all across the galaxy, and many of them die doing so." Rockthor's tone made it clear the discussion was over. "Your species is brave. Foolishly so, some say. But bravery does not make you less fragile. You will follow these restrictions, or you will be sent back to Earth on the next transport." A smaller figure appeared in the doorway. It looked like an oversized mouse, standing upright, covered in soft gray fur. Large eyes blinked rapidly as it studied Jiwoo. "Ah," Rakthor said. "This is Pip. He is the station's chief engineer. Pip, this is Specialist Jiwoo, our new human." "Hello, hello." Pip's voice was high and quick, words tumbling over each other. "Very pleased to meet you, yes, yes. I have never met a human before. You are very pink. Is all your skin this color? Or just the visible parts?" "All of it," Jiwoo said, unable to stop a small smile. "Fascinating, fascinating. And you have no fur at all? Not even for warmth? We wear clothes for warmth. How inefficient." Pip's tail twitched. "But welcome, welcome. I hope you enjoy the station. Please be careful though, very careful. Humans are delicate, yes, yes. We had a human engineer here 2 years ago. Lasted only 3 months before requesting transfer. Said the stress was too much. Too worried about being injured. I'm not planning to request a transfer," Jiwoo said firmly. Pip's ears flattened. "That is what he said too, yes, yes." Rakthor dismissed Pip and spent the next hour showing Jiwoo her workstation. The equipment was state-of-the-art. The data she would have access to was incredible. Under other circumstances, she would have been thrilled. But the restrictions chafed. She had not spent years studying to be locked away from the actual specimens. Another human arrived near the end of the tour. He was tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a security uniform. His nameplate read, Dae-sung, Specialist Jiwoo. He nodded. "Good to have another human on board. We're up to 6 now." "6 out of how many total crew?" 43, Dae-sung said. "We're definitely the minority species here." Rakthor excused himself, leaving the 2 humans alone. Jiwoo immediately turned to Dae-sung. "Is it always like this? The restrictions? Being treated like we're made of glass?" Dae-sung sighed. "Yeah, pretty much. It's frustrating, but try to see it from their perspective. Most species out here are just tougher than we are. Draxians have armored scales and redundant organs. Velkin have exoskeletons. The Kree regenerate lost limbs. Compared to them, we are fragile. But we're not helpless. No, we're not. But we are at a disadvantage." Dae-sung leaned against the workstation. "Look, I've been here 18 months. Rakthor isn't trying to insult you. He's trying to keep you alive. 3 years ago, before proper human protocols were established, a human scientist died here. Specimen breach. She bled out before medical help arrived. Rakthor was the one who found her body. I think it haunts him." Jiwoo felt her anger cooling slightly. "I didn't know. Most people don't. But it's why he's so strict about human safety now. Just give it time. Prove yourself with the work you can do. Eventually, he'll trust you more." "Eventually isn't good enough," Dae-sung smiled. "I said the same thing when I arrived. But this is how it is. We're guests in their galaxy, remember? We're the new species. We have to earn respect slowly." An alarm suddenly blared through the station. Red lights began flashing in the corridors. Both humans froze. Rakthor's voice boomed over the intercom system. "Containment breach. Section 7. All non-essential personnel to emergency shelters immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Dae-sung grabbed Jiwoo's arm. "Come on, emergency shelter is this way. Move fast." They ran down the corridor. Other crew members were rushing in the same direction. Pip scurried past them, squeaking in panic. Through an observation window, Jiwoo caught a glimpse of Section 7. She saw Rakthor and 2 other Draxians running in the opposite direction, toward the breach, weapons drawn. The shelter door was closing. Dae-sung pushed Jiwoo through first, then dove through himself just before it sealed. The thick metal door locked with a heavy thud. 20 other crew members crowded the small space, all looking frightened. Jiwoo found a monitor showing the security feeds. She watched as Rockthor and his team entered Section 7. A creature was loose in there. Something big and angry. This was exactly the kind of situation she had been trained for, and she was locked in a box with everyone else deemed too weak to help. The feeling of helplessness burned in her chest. But she watched the screens carefully. Whatever happened next, she wanted to see it. She needed to understand the dangers of this station. Because despite Rockthor's restrictions, despite everyone's warnings, Jiwoo had no intention of staying locked away forever. The emergency shelter felt too small with 20 crew members packed inside. Jiwoo pushed her way to the front, where she could see the security monitors clearly. Multiple screens showed different angles of Section 7. She spotted Rockthor and his team moving carefully through the botanical sector. "What kind of creature escaped?" someone asked in a clicking language. The computer translated it through the speakers. "Vorash." Pip squeaked from somewhere in the back. "Oh no, oh no. Very dangerous, yes, yes. From Kepler 442b. Apex predator. Like your Earth wolves but bigger. Much bigger. And stronger." Jiwoo watched the screens. The botanical sector was the station's food production area, filled with plants from a dozen worlds. The Vorash could be hiding anywhere in there among the tall crops and hanging vines. Rockthor made hand signals to his team. The two other Draxian guards split up, moving to flank whatever they were tracking. All three had their weapons ready, heavy plasma rifles that looked like toys in their massive hands. "How did it escape?" Daesung asked, standing next to Jiwoo. "Containment? Field malfunction?" Another crew member answered. The Vorash was already agitated. Medical team had sedated it this morning for a health check. Perhaps the sedative made it confused. Frightened. 47. On the screen, Rockthor stopped suddenly. He raised one fist. His team froze. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then Jiwoo saw movement in the background. Something large shifted between two rows of tall, grain-like plants. The Vorash emerged into view. Jiwoo sucked in a breath. It was enormous. Easily the size of an earth grizzly bear, but built like a wolf. Dark fur covered its body. Its mouth was full of teeth designed for tearing meat. But what struck Jiwoo most was the creature's eyes. They were wide with fear. Blood matted the fur on its shoulder. "It's injured," Jiwoo said. "It attacked a guard during the initial breach," someone explained. "Got shot in the process. So it's scared and in pain," Jiwoo said. "That makes it more dangerous." Rockthor seemed to understand this too. He kept his weapon lowered, not pointing it directly at the Vorash. He spoke slowly, his voice coming through the security feed speakers. "Easy, creature. We do not wish to harm you further. Stand down," the Vorash growled. It was a sound that resonated deep in Jiwoo's chest, even through the speakers. The creature's muscles bunched. It was preparing to attack or run, and both options were bad in this situation. One of the other guards shifted position. His boot scraped against the deck. The sound was soft, but in the tense silence, it was enough. The Vorash's head snapped toward the sound. Then everything happened at once. The creature lunged, not at the guard who made the noise, but at Rockthor. Perhaps it identified him as the pack leader. Perhaps it was simple bad luck. The Vorash moved with terrifying speed for something so large. Rockthor fired his weapon. The plasma bolt caught the Vorash in the chest, but the creature's momentum carried it forward. They collided. Even with Rockthor's size and strength, the impact drove him backward. They crashed through a support beam. The Vorash's jaws clamped down on Rockthor's left leg. The other guards opened fire. Plasma bolts lit up the botanical sector. The Vorash released Rockthor and retreated, howling. It disappeared back into the tall plants, leaving a trail of blood. Rockthor tried to stand. He couldn't. His leg bent at an angle that made Jiwoo's stomach turn. Through his torn armor, she could see deep puncture wounds. Dark, green blood spread across the deck. "Medical team to Section 7. One of the guards called into his communicator. Commander is down. Severe leg injury. Possibly arterial bleeding. The response came quickly, but the news was bad. Medical team is responding, but there's a problem. The breach damaged the corridor between sections 4 and 7. We have to go around. Estimated arrival time is 18 minutes. 18 minutes. Ji-woo looked at the blood pooling around Rokthor's leg. Draxian blood was thicker than human blood, but he was still losing too much of it too fast. She had studied dozens of species in her training. She knew Draxian anatomy. They had a major artery running through the thigh, just like humans. If that was severed, 18 minutes was too long. The guards were torn between pursuing the Vorash and helping their commander. One stayed with Rokthor, trying to apply pressure to the wounds. The other went after the creature. They couldn't let it rampage through the station. He's going to bleed out, Ji-woo said quietly. Dae-sung looked at her. Medical team is coming. Medical team is coming. Not fast enough. Ji-woo moved to the shelter door. What are you doing? Pip's voice went even higher with panic. The botanical sector is 3 corridors away from here. I can reach him in 2 minutes. No, 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 Pip squeaked. The Vorash is still loose in there. Very dangerous. You will be killed, yes, yes. Rokthor will definitely die if someone doesn't help him now, Ji-woo said. She started entering the emergency override code for the shelter door. Dae-sung grabbed her shoulder. Ji-woo, think about this. You heard Pip. That thing is still in there. The guards drove it deeper into the sector. It's wounded and scared. It's not going to come back toward them. You don't know that. I know that Rokthor has maybe 10 minutes before he bleeds to death. Ji-woo finished entering the code. The shelter door began to open. I can't just watch that happen. Far. Ji-woo. R. Ji-woo. Ji-woo. This is insane, Dae-sung said. But he didn't try to stop her again. He knew that look on her face. He had seen it before on other humans, who had made up their minds completely. Ji-woo grabbed a medical kit from the shelter's emergency supplies. She checked its contents quickly. Coagulant foam. Synthetic skin. Bandages. It was designed to work on multiple species. It would have to be enough. Ji-woo, stop. Dae-sung's voice was urgent. That's an order from your security officer. Log it as insubordination, Ji-woo said. She stepped through the door. Ji-woo, Dae-sung called after her, but the shelter door was already closing automatically. The corridor was empty and quiet. Too quiet. Ji-woo could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. She started running toward Section 7. Her boots echoed on the deck plates. She passed through the first corridor junction. Clear. Second junction. Still clear. Dae-sung's voice came through her communicator. All station personnel, be advised. Specialist Ji-woo is en route to Section 7. Repeat. Human specialist is heading toward the containment breach area. Someone stop her, but there was no one in these corridors to stop her. Everyone was either in shelters or dealing with the breach. Emergency lighting cast everything in red. She could smell something sharp and organic. Blood. Both Draxian and Vorash. She entered carefully. The botanical sector stretched out before her. From this angle, she could see Rokthor on the ground, about 50 meters away. The guard with him was speaking urgently into his communicator. He hadn't seen Ji-woo yet. Ji-woo moved forward, staying low. She scanned the rows of plants constantly, watching for movement. The Vorash was in here somewhere. Wounded, but still deadly. Her hands were shaking. She forced them to steady. Fear was natural. Letting fear control you was the problem. She was halfway to Rokthor when the guard spotted her. His eyes went wide with shock. Human! What are you doing here? Get back to the shelter. I want to. Not a chance, Ji-woo called back. She covered the remaining distance at a run. Rokthor was conscious, but barely. His golden eyes focused on her with difficulty. Specialist. No. Too dangerous. Yeah, I'm getting that a lot today. Jiwoo dropped to her knees beside him. She opened the medical kit. The leg wound was worse up close. The Vorash's teeth had crushed through armor and deep into muscle. She could see bone. The guard was still trying to apply pressure, but his hands were too large to effectively cover the wounds. Jiwoo's smaller hands could work better. She pushed his hands aside gently. Let me work. Not. You should not be here. But I am here. So let me help. Jiwoo pulled out the coagulant foam. She had practiced with this in training, but never on an actual patient. Never on a wound this severe. Her instructor's voices echoed in her memory. Stay calm. Work systematically. Deal with the bleeding first. She sprayed foam directly into the deepest puncture wounds. The chemical reaction caused it to expand and harden, creating a temporary seal. Rockthor groaned in pain. The guard watched her work with an expression caught between admiration and horror. Medical team, how far out? The guard spoke into his communicator. 14 minutes. 14 minutes. Rockthor didn't have 14 minutes. Jiwoo looked at his leg. The foam was slowing the bleeding but not stopping it completely. The artery was damaged. She needed to get him to medical bay now. She looked at the anti-gravity stretcher attached to the guard's belt. Give me that. The guard unclipped it and activated it. The stretcher unfolded and extended. They tried to roll Rockthor onto it. The stretcher's anti-grav field activated, but immediately started flickering. Sparks shot from its control unit. Damaged in the fight, the guard said. It cannot support his weight. Jiwoo stared at Rockthor, then at the medical bay location on her mental map of the station, 200 meters. Rockthor probably weighed 400 kilograms, maybe more. We have to wait for medical team, the guard said. Jiwoo shook her head. She was already pulling emergency straps from the broken stretcher. No. We carry him. The guard stared at Jiwoo, like she had suggested flying to the medical bay by flapping her arms. Carry him? Human. He weighs more than 400 kilograms. I know. Jiwoo was already working the emergency straps into a harness. Her hands moved quickly, tying knots she had learned in survival training. You need to go after the Vorash. Make sure it doesn't come back this way. I'll get the commander to medical. You cannot possibly. I don't have time to argue. Jiwoo finished the harness and started threading it under Rockthor's shoulders and around his chest. Every second we waste his blood he doesn't have to lose. Rockthor's hand caught her wrist. His grip was weak. Specialist. This is foolish. You will hurt yourself. Probably, Jiwoo agreed. She checked the harness connections. But you'll be alive, so I'll call it a win. The guard received a message through his communicator. The other guard had cornered the Vorash in the far end of the botanical sector, but needed backup. The creature was wounded and desperate. It was trying to break through the outer wall to escape. Go, Jiwoo told him. The guard hesitated. Then he looked at Rockthor's fading eyes and made his decision. He ran toward the other end of the sector. Jiwoo was alone with her injured commander. She positioned herself at Rockthor's head. The harness straps extended up and over her shoulders. She tested the connection. The weight was incredible. This was insane. Everyone was right about that. But insane was better than dead. Back at the shelter, Daesung watched through the security feed with the rest of the crew. She's actually going to try it, he said quietly. Pip was running calculations on a datapad. Impossible, impossible. Human can lift what? Maybe 80 kilograms maximum? Commander Rockthor weighs 430 kilograms. Her spine will compress. Her knees will fail. On the screen, Jiwoo braced her legs and pulled. The harness went tight. Rockthor's body shifted slightly. She was moving him. Actually moving him. Oh my, Pip whispered. She is very stupid or very brave. Perhaps both, yes. Yes. Jiwoo pulled again. Her technique was good. She had to give herself that much. She wasn't trying to lift Rockthor. She was dragging him. Using her body weight, and leg strength. The harness distributed the load across her shoulders and back. It was similar to how ancient humans had moved heavy stones. Leverage and determination, but it was still 400 kilograms of weight. Her legs screamed in protest. Her shoulders felt like they were being crushed. She managed to drag Rockthor 1 meter, then another. The medical bay was 200 meters away. This was going to destroy her body. She knew it. She did the math in her head too. She pulled again. 3 meters. 4 meters. She developed a rhythm. Brace. Pull. Step. Breathe. Brace. Pull. Step. Breathe. Don't think about the distance. Don't think about the pain. Just the next meter. Then the next. Rockthor drifted in and out of consciousness. When he was aware, he tried to tell her to stop. Please. Leave me. You will hurt yourself badly. Shut up, Commander. The words came out between gasping breaths. Respectfully, at the shelter, the entire crew watched in silence. Even the species, who had no concept of human culture, could recognize something extraordinary happening. A small creature was doing something impossible. They could see the strain on Jiwoo's body. The way her legs shook. The sweat soaking through her uniform. How is she doing this? Someone asked. Dae-sung pulled up information on his datapad. Adrenaline. When humans are in emergency situations, our bodies release a hormone that temporarily increases strength, blocks pain signals, pushes us past normal limits. For how long? Not long enough for this, Dae-sung admitted. She should have collapsed by now, but Jiwoo didn't collapse. She reached the exit from Section 7. 20 meters covered. 180 to go. The corridor ahead was straight. That was good. The 40 woov. The 40 woov. She didn't have to navigate corners. Just pull. Keep pulling. Her hands were bleeding inside her gloves. She could feel it. The straps cut into her shoulders even through her uniform. Every muscle in her legs burned. Her vision started to blur at the edges. Her body was screaming at her to stop. She ignored it. 30 meters. 40 meters. She fell to one knee. For a moment, everyone watching thought she was done. But she pushed herself back up, adjusted the harness, kept going. Pip was staring at his calculations like they had personally betrayed him. This is not possible. She is exceeding human physical limitations by more than 3 times. This does not make sense. Humans don't always make sense, Dae-sung said. There was pride in his voice mixed with worry. We're very good at doing impossible things when we decide we have to. 50 meters. 60 meters. Jiwoo's breathing was ragged. She could taste copper in her mouth. Her body was starting to shut down. She knew the signs. She had pushed too far. But she was past the halfway point now. The medical bay was closer than Section 7. No point in stopping. Rockthor woke up again. His vision cleared enough to see where they were. Specialist, you must stop. Your body cannot. My body will hold together for another 100 meters, Jiwoo gasped. After that, it can fall apart all at once. 70 meters, 80 meters. She developed a new system. Pull for 10 seconds, rest for 5. Pull for 10. Rest for 5. Her rest periods had to stay short. If she stopped for too long, her muscles would cramp. She wouldn't be able to start again. Other crew members had started to emerge from shelters. The Vorash had been successfully recontained. The emergency was technically over. 40. They lined the corridors now, watching the human specialist drag their commander. None of them moved to help. They were too shocked, too amazed, too busy, trying to understand what they were seeing. A Velkan engineer whispered to his companion. I thought humans were fragile. They are fragile, his companion whispered back. 90 meters. 100 meters. Jiwoo stumbled. She went down hard on both knees. Pain shot through her legs. She tasted blood. She had bitten her tongue. Rokthor tried to reach for the harness release. If he could free himself, she would stop. She would have to stop. Jiwoo knocked his hand away. "Don't you dare, Commander." She forced herself back to her feet. Her knees weren't working right anymore. She had done damage there. Probably to the ligaments, probably to the cartilage. She would worry about it later. After Rokthor was safe. 110 meters. 120. She could see the medical bay entrance now. It looked impossibly far away still. But she could see it. That was something. Daesung spoke into his communicator. "Medical team. Patient is 1 minute out. Get ready." The medical bay doors opened. 2 Velkin medics and 1 Draxian doctor rushed out with an actual working stretcher. They ran toward Jiwoo. 130 meters. 140. The medics reached her. They tried to take over. Jiwoo wouldn't release the harness. "Let go," the Draxian doctor said gently. "Promise me." Jiwoo's words slurred. She was going into shock. "Promise you'll save him." "We promise." "Let go." Jiwoo's fingers wouldn't work properly. The doctor had to manually release the harness clasps. The weight came off Jiwoo's shoulders. Without it, she had nothing holding her up. Her legs gave out completely. Daesung caught her before she hit the deck. He had sprinted from the shelter when he saw she was close. "I got you. You're okay. Rokthor." Jiwoo could barely form the word. "They've got him. Look." Daesung turned her slightly. She could see the medics loading Rokthor onto the stretcher. They were moving him quickly into medical bay. The Draxian doctor was already preparing emergency equipment. "Good," Jiwoo whispered. Then her vision went dark, and she knew nothing else. She woke up briefly in medical bay. Someone was working on her hands, bandaging them. Everything hurt. Everything. She had never felt pain like this. It was everywhere. At once. "Damage assessment." She heard the Draxian doctor saying. "Severe muscle strain in both legs. Torn ligaments in both knees. Stress fractures in both feet. Multiple contusions. Dehydration. 2 fractured bones in the left hand, 3 in the right. Patient is going into shock. Prepare sedatives. Will she survive?" That was Rokthor's voice. Weak, but alive. "Yes. Humans are remarkably resilient. She will heal. But she will be in pain for some time. She should not have been able to do what she did." "No." The doctor agreed. She should not have. But she did it anyway. Perhaps that tells us something about humans we did not know before. Jiwoo tried to speak. To tell them she was awake. But the sedative was already working. She drifted back into darkness. But this time, it was peaceful. Rokthor was alive. That was all that mattered. In the corridors outside Medical Bay, crew members gathered. They spoke in hushed voices, shared what they had witnessed. The word spread through the entire station within an hour. The human specialist had carried Commander Rokthor 200 meters. She had dragged over 400 kilograms of weight, despite her own body weighing barely 100 kilograms. She had done something that was mathematically impossible. Pip pulled up video footage from the security cameras. He watched it again and again. Ran more calculations. The numbers still didn't make sense. He finally sent a message to Daesung. How did she do this? Daesung's response was simple. Because she decided it needed to be done. That's how humans work. We don't always check if something is possible before we do it. Pip stared at the message for a long time. Then he looked at the video again. The small human dragging the massive Draxian. Step by painful step. Never stopping. Never giving up. Fascinating. Pip whispered to himself. Terrifying. But fascinating. Yes. Yes. Jiwoo woke up properly 2 days later. The first thing she noticed was that she couldn't move, without pain shooting through her entire body. The second thing she noticed was that her hands were wrapped in thick bandages. The third thing was that she was not alone. Dae-sung sat in a chair next to her medical bed. He was reading something on a datapad, but looked up immediately when she stirred. "Welcome back," he said quietly. Jiwoo's throat was dry. "Rokthor? Alive, recovering. He's 3 beds down from you." Dae-sung held up a cup with a straw. Ji-woo drank gratefully. "The doctors say he'll make a full recovery. Thanks to you getting him here so fast." Memory came back in pieces. The botanical sector, the blood, the weight of the harness, the endless corridor. How long was I out? 18 hours the first time. Then they kept you sedated for another day while your body started healing. Dae-sung set the cup aside. "You did serious damage, Ji-woo. Both knees have torn ligaments. Both feet have stress fractures. Your hands have multiple broken bones. The doctors say you'll need at least 2 weeks of recovery time. Could have been worse. It was worse. You had people place bets on whether you would make it." Dae-sung smiled slightly. "I won 40 credits. Ji-woo tried to laugh, but it hurt too much. "You bet I would make it? I bet you would do something crazy and somehow survive." "I know humans." Dae-sung's expression became more serious. "The whole station is talking about you. What you did. Everyone saw it on the security feeds. I just did what needed to be done." "No. You did something impossible. The science team has been running calculations for 2 days, trying to figure out how you did it. Pip has watched the security footage maybe 100 times. Before Ji-woo could respond, the Draxian doctor entered. She was smaller than Rokthor, but still massive compared to Ji-woo. Her scales were a lighter green. Her eyes were kind. "Ah, awake. Good. I am Dr. Velana." She checked the monitors next to Ji-woo's bed. "Your vital signs are improving. The pain medication is working? Everything still hurts." "Yes. That will continue for some time. You pushed your body far beyond its limits. The damage was extensive." Dr. Velana pulled up a holographic display showing Ji-woo's skeletal and muscular systems. Red areas indicated damage. There was a lot of red. Velana. 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 "However, you will heal completely. Human bodies are fragile, but they recover well." "Pardia, can I see Commander Rokthor? He has been asking to see you every hour since he woke up." Dr. Velana helped Ji-woo into a hovering wheelchair. The movement hurt, but Ji-woo gritted her teeth. "He is most insistent. Most unusual for the commander. He is typically very patient." They moved down the medical bay to where Rokthor lay on a reinforced bed. His leg was in some kind of regeneration field. It glowed softly blue. He looked tired, but his eyes were alert. When he saw Ji-woo, something complicated crossed his face. "Specialist," he said quietly. "Commander." Ji-woo's wheelchair positioned itself next to his bed. "You're looking better than the last time I saw you. I am told I have you to thank for that. For being alive at all." Rokthor studied her bandaged hands. "I am also told you have injured yourself severely in the process of saving me. I'll heal. That is not the point." Rokthor's voice carried an edge. "Not anger exactly. Something else. I ordered you to remain in the shelter. I specifically told you that humans were too fragile for dangerous situations. You disobeyed a direct order." Ji-woo met his eyes steadily. "Why? Because you would have died otherwise." Seemed like a simple decision. Simple? Rokthor shifted slightly. The movement caused him pain. Dr. Velana moved to adjust his medication, but he waved her away. "You risked your life. You damaged your body severely. You carried weight that should have been impossible for your species to move. Nothing about that is simple." "You're right," Ji-woo said. "It wasn't simple. It hurt. A lot. And I knew it would hurt. But I also knew what would happen if I didn't act. You would have bled to death waiting for the medical team. So, the choice was actually very simple. Temporary pain for me versus permanent death for you. Rockthor was quiet for a long moment. I told you that your species was fragile. You did. I was correct. Your body is fragile, delicate, easily damaged. Rockthor's golden eyes stayed fixed on hers. But I was also wrong. Fragile is not the same as weak. I did not understand that before. I do now. Jiwoo felt something tight in her chest, loosen slightly. Thank you, Commander. Do not thank me. I nearly let you die from my own ignorance. Rockthor looked away. The human who died here 3 years ago. I have thought about her often. I believed I was protecting your species by restricting you, by keeping you away from danger, but perhaps I was simply keeping you from doing what you do best. What do we do best? Enduring. The word came out with weight behind it. Persisting. Refusing to stop, even when logic says you should. Daesung had followed them and now stood near the door. Humans are persistence hunters. Commander. That's how we evolved. We're not the strongest or the fastest, but we don't quit. We keep going until the prey collapses from exhaustion. Jiwoo just applied that same instinct to a different situation. Rockthor absorbed this information. Persistence hunters. I have heard of this, but I did not connect it to your species' behavior in crisis situations. Pip appeared in the doorway, clutching his datapad. Commander, yes. May I enter? I have information. Very important information. About humans. Enter, Pip. The small engineer scurried over. His tail was twitching with excitement. I have been researching human biology. Very fascinating, yes. Did you know that human muscles can exert 3 times normal strength under extreme stress? It is called hysterical strength. The brain normally limits muscle power to prevent injury, but in emergencies, these limits are removed. That explains some of what Specialist Jiwoo did, Dr. Villana said. But not all of it. The weight she moved. The distance she covered. Even with adrenaline and hysterical strength, it should not have been possible. Ah. Pip's ears perked up. That is the other thing I learned. Humans have exceptional pain tolerance. Not that they feel less pain. No. They feel the pain but can function through it. Most species would have collapsed from the pain alone. But humans can continue working, even when their body is screaming at them to stop. That sounds like a terrible evolutionary adaptation, Rockthor said. Or a brilliant one, Daesung countered. It kept our ancestors alive long enough to become the dominant species on our planet. That same trait helps us now. We're not built to take damage, but we're built to keep going. Despite the damage. Dr. Villana pulled up more data. I have been reviewing Specialist Jiwoo's medical records from Earth. She has a history of distance running. Marathons. Ultra-marathons. Her body is trained for endurance activities. What is a marathon? Rockthor asked. A 42-kilometer run. Daesung explained. Done for sport. Some humans run even longer distances. 100 kilometers. 200. Just to prove they can. Pip's eyes went wide. You run that far by choice? Not escaping predators? Not hunting? Just for fun? Just for fun, Jiwoo confirmed. Rockthor stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time. Your species runs extreme distances as entertainment. This explains much about your psychology. We're stubborn, Jiwoo said simply. We like to test our limits. Sometimes we like to exceed them. Over the next few days, as both Jiwoo and Rockthor recovered, something shifted on the station. The other crew members approached Jiwoo differently. Not with pity anymore. With respect. Sometimes with a hint of fear. The Velkin engineer who had been so dismissive before stopped Jiwoo in the corridor one day. She was using crutches by then, able to move around slowly. Specialist, I wanted to say. What you did. Very impressive. Very brave. Thank you. Also very terrifying, yes. I have been thinking. If humans can do what you did when pushed, what else might humans be capable of? Jiwoo smiled. We're still figuring that out ourselves. A week after the incident, Rockthor called a station meeting. His leg was still healing, but he could stand with support. The entire crew gathered in the main briefing room. There will be changes to station protocols, Rockthor announced, specifically regarding human personnel. I have reviewed our safety restrictions. Many of them were based on assumptions about human capabilities. These assumptions were incomplete. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Jiwoo sat near the back, her bandaged hands resting in her lap. Specialist Jiwoo will be granted full xenobiology privileges, Rockthor continued. This includes specimen containment access, transfer operations, field research. She has proven herself capable. More murmurs, some of approval, some of concern. Additionally, Rockthor's voice grew stronger. Specialist Jiwoo will develop new training protocols. All crew members will learn human emergency response techniques. If humans can function in crisis situations the way Specialist Jiwoo did, then we should all understand these methods. Pip raised a paw. Commander? Should we also update the station's risk assessment files? The section on human fragility is now inaccurate? Yes. Update them. Humans are fragile, but they are also resilient in ways we did not properly account for. The files should reflect this complexity. After the meeting, Daesung found Jiwoo. You did it. You earned their respect. I just did what needed to be done. No. You did what most of them thought was impossible. That's different. Daesung looked around at the other crew members. Several were watching Jiwoo with new expressions. Curiosity, interest, respect. They're going to be watching us more closely now. All the humans on the station. They're going to wonder what else we can do. Jiwoo smiled slightly. Good. Let them wonder. Maybe they'll stop putting us in boxes labeled fragile. Be careful what you wish for. Now, they might expect us to do impossible things regularly. Then we'll just have to keep exceeding expectations. Jiwoo stood carefully. Her knees still hurt, but they were healing. That's what humans do best anyway. 3 weeks had passed since the incident. Jiwoo's hands had healed enough to remove the bandages. Her knees still ached, but she could walk without crutches. Dr. Velana said she was recovering faster than expected. Apparently, human healing speed was another thing the alien crew had underestimated. Rockthor's leg had fully regenerated. Draxian medical technology was impressive. He walked with barely a limp now. But something else had changed about him. He watched Jiwoo differently, with a mix of respect and curiosity that hadn't been there before. Jiwoo was in the xenobiology lab when he found her. She was documenting behavior patterns of a small crystalline creature from Tau Ceti. The creature sang in frequencies that made the observation glass vibrate. It was beautiful and strange, and exactly the kind of work Jiwoo had dreamed of doing. Specialist, Rockthor greeted her. How is the work? Fascinating, Commander. This species communicates through harmonic resonance. I'm building a database of their song patterns. Jiwoo looked up from her equipment. What can I do for you? Walk with me. There is something I wish to discuss. They walked through the station corridors. Crew members nodded respectfully as they passed. Several greeted Jiwoo by name now. The Velkin engineer waved enthusiastically. Even the Draxian guards who had once looked at her with pity now gave her polite nods. Rockthor led her to the observation deck. Through the massive windows, the gas giant rotated slowly. Its storms swirled in bands of orange and red. Stars filled the space beyond. It was a view that never got old. I have been thinking much about what happened, Rockthor said quietly. About my assumptions, my protocols, my treatment of your species. Commander, you don't need to. Please. Let me speak. Rockthor's golden eyes reflected the light from the gas giant. When I arrived at this station 6 years ago, I was confident. I knew many species. I had worked with dozens of races across the galaxy. I believed I understood the capabilities and limitations of each. Ji Woo listened silently. Then, humans joined the galactic community. I read all the reports, studied your biology, your history, and I concluded that you were fragile, weak, in need of protection. Rockthor's voice carried regret. I was not cruel in this assessment. I genuinely believed I was keeping your species safe by restricting you. Rockthor, you were trying to help. I was being arrogant. Rockthor turned to face her. I looked at your physical body and decided I knew everything about what you could do. I did not account for your will, your determination, your absolute refusal to accept limitations. A small smile crossed Ji Woo's face. That does sound like humanity. I have been researching your species more thoroughly since the incident. Did you know that humans have sent members of your species into active war zones, specifically to save wounded soldiers? You call them medics. They run toward danger, while everyone else runs away. Yes. It's considered honorable work. Honorable, insane, perhaps both. Rockthor shook his head. I also learned that humans have climbed your highest mountain. Not because it needed to be climbed, not because there was anything valuable at the top, but simply because it was there. Mount Everest. Yes, hundreds of people have summited it. Many have died trying. Yet more keep attempting it. Rockthor seemed genuinely baffled. Your species seeks out difficulty. You push against your own limitations constantly. This is not normal behavior. Maybe not, but it's human behavior. Indeed. Rockthor was quiet for a moment. There is another matter. The Station Council has reviewed my protocols. They have recommended changes. Significant changes. What kind of changes? All restrictions on human personnel are being removed. You will have the same access and responsibilities as any other specialist. No special limitations. No extra protections. Rockthor met her eyes. You are being promoted to Senior Xenobiology Specialist. You will lead specimen research initiatives. You will train new staff, both human and non-human. Ji Woo felt her breath catch. Commander, that's deserved, Rockthor interrupted. You proved yourself, not just through what you did for me, but through your competence, your knowledge, your dedication to the work. He paused. I also have a request. I would like you to develop new training protocols, not just for emergency situations, but for general operations. Teach us how humans approach problems, how you think, how you push through barriers that other species accept as absolute. You want me to teach aliens how to be more human? I want you to teach us that limitations are sometimes just assumptions we haven't questioned yet. Rockthor's expression was serious. What you did should have been impossible, but you did it anyway. That suggests our understanding of what is possible needs adjustment. Over the following days, Ji Woo began her new responsibilities. She led research teams into specimen containment areas. She directed transfer operations for new creatures arriving at the station. She worked alongside Draxians and Velkin and a dozen other species. They watched how she approached problems, how she stayed calm under pressure, how she found solutions that others hadn't considered. Pip became particularly fascinated. He followed Ji Woo around constantly, asking questions. Why do humans always try the difficult solution first? Why not choose the easy path? And, because the easy path doesn't always work, Ji Woo explained. Sometimes, the only way through is the hard way. But it hurts more, yes. Why choose pain? We don't choose pain. We choose the goal. If pain is required to reach it, we accept that. Pip's tail twitched thoughtfully. Very strange logic. Very human logic. The training sessions Ji Woo developed became popular. She taught techniques for managing stress, for pushing through fatigue, for making decisions quickly in crisis situations. Many of the alien crew struggled with the concepts. They were used to accepting their limits. Ji-woo taught them to question those limits instead. One afternoon, Dae-sung joined her in the training room. A mixed group of crew members was running endurance exercises. They were learning to function while tired, while uncomfortable, while their bodies told them to stop. "You're turning them into honorary humans," Dae-sung observed with amusement. "I'm teaching them that their bodies can do more than they think. That's not specifically human. That's just truth. Truth that most species never learn because they trust their limitations." "Maybe that's our gift to the galaxy then," Ji-woo said, teaching everyone else to be a little more stubborn. A month after the incident, the station received an emergency call. A research vessel had encountered problems near a dangerous asteroid field. Their engines were damaged. They were drifting toward a collision. The nearest rescue ship was hours away. The research vessel had maybe 90 minutes before impact. Rockthor called an emergency briefing. "We are the closest station. We can launch a rescue shuttle. But the asteroid field is treacherous. The approach will be difficult." "I'll pilot it," Ji-woo said immediately. The room went quiet. Rockthor looked at her steadily. "The piloting will require precise maneuvering through dense obstacles. High risk of collision." "Are you certain?" "I'm certain. I've logged 300 hours in shuttle simulations. I know I can do this." The old Rockthor would have refused. Would have insisted it was too dangerous for a human. But the new Rockthor, the one who had learned not to underestimate humans, simply nodded. "Approved. Take Dae-sung as co-pilot. Pip, you will monitor from the station and provide navigation assistance." The rescue mission launched within minutes. Ji-woo piloted the shuttle with smooth confidence. The asteroid field was exactly as dangerous as advertised. Massive rocks tumbled through space in chaotic patterns. A single miscalculation would mean collision, destruction. Dae-sung watched the sensors. Asteroids at 3 o'clock. 6 o'clock. 11 o'clock. We're basically surrounded. Then we go through the middle. Ji-woo adjusted their course. The shuttle slipped between two spinning asteroids with meters to spare. Pip's voice came through the communication system. "Too close, too close." "Dangerous is relative," Ji-woo replied calmly. She navigated around a cluster of smaller rocks. "We've got this." And they did. Ji-woo brought the shuttle alongside the damaged research vessel. Dae-sung managed the docking procedure. They evacuated the 7-person crew. 3. Velkin. 2. Draxians. 1 member of a species Ji-woo didn't recognize. 1 human. The human was a young man, maybe 25, who looked terrified. "Not today," Ji-woo said. She began piloting them back out of the asteroid field. "How are you so calm?" the young man asked. "This is insane. We're going to hit something." "We're not going to hit anything. But the asteroids are just obstacles. I know where they are. I know where I'm going. That's all piloting is. Information and confidence." Ji-woo guided them through a particularly tight passage. "Also helps to not think too much about what happens if you're wrong." Dae-sung laughed. "That's the most human philosophy I've ever heard." They made it back to Threshold 7 without incident. The rescued crew stumbled out of the shuttle, shaken but safe. Rockthor greeted them personally. Then, he turned to Ji-woo. "Excellent work, Specialist. Just doing my job, Commander." "Yes, but you do it in a very human way." There was warmth in Rockthor's voice, something almost like pride, with complete confidence and a healthy disregard for the word impossible. That evening, the station held a small celebration for the successful rescue. Crew members from all species gathered in the recreation area. Ji-woo found herself surrounded by aliens, asking questions about Earth, about human culture, about how humans thought. "Is it true that humans jump out of flying aircraft for entertainment?" a Velkin asked. "Skydiving. Yes, it's true. Why would anyone do that? Because it's fun. Because it's thrilling. Because we can." Pip shook his head in amazement. "Humans are very strange, yes, yes. But also, Very impressive. I am glad you are on this station. Rakthor approached with 2 drinks. He handed one to Jiwoo. A toast. To Specialist Jiwoo, who taught this old commander that he had much to learn. To questioning assumptions. Jiwoo raised her glass. To exceeding limitations, Dae-sung added. To humans, Pip squeaked. May they never stop doing impossible things, yes, yes. They drank. Around them, the celebration continued. Different species, mixing, sharing stories, learning from each other. This was what galactic community was supposed to be. Not just coexistence, but mutual respect. Understanding that every species had strengths, that differences were valuable. Later, Jiwoo stood at the observation window again. Rakthor joined her. They watched the stars in comfortable silence. I warned them you were fragile, Rakthor said quietly. I was wrong. You were right, Jiwoo corrected. I am fragile. Humans are fragile. Our bodies break easily. We get hurt. We scar. Then how? Fragile doesn't mean weak, Commander. It means we have to be careful. But it also means we understand that things can break and still be valuable. Maybe that's why we don't quit. Because we know that surviving despite being fragile is harder than surviving because you're durable. We're not strong because we can't be hurt. We're strong because we can be hurt, and we keep going anyway. Rakthor considered this. The human was fragile, but so was glass. And like glass, when you chose not to break, nothing could shatter your will. That's very poetic, Commander. I have been reading human literature, trying to understand your species better. Rakthor's eyes reflected the starlight. I think I am beginning to. I think I am beginning to. I think I am beginning to. And what have you learned? That strength has many definitions. That limitations are often self-imposed. That a small creature with enough determination can move mountains. He looked at Jiwoo. Or carry an injured commander, 200 meters against all logic and reason. Jiwoo smiled. Sometimes logic isn't as important as people think. Sometimes, you just have to decide what needs to be done and do it. A very human philosophy. Maybe, but it works. On the station behind them, life continued. Experiments ran in the laboratories. Engineers maintained the systems. Security officers patrolled the corridors. And now, humans worked alongside everyone else. Not as protected fragile things, but as full members of the crew. Equals. Colleagues. Friends. The galaxy was vast. Full of strong species. Durable species. Species with armor and claws and natural weapons. But humanity had found their place among the stars, not despite their fragility, but because of what they did with it. They took their breakable bodies and pushed them beyond reason. They took their limited strength and applied it with perfect stubbornness. They took every disadvantage and transformed it through sheer determination. They were fragile. They always would be. But fragile wasn't weak. Fragile was just another challenge to overcome. And humans were very, very good at overcoming challenges. Rakthor raised his glass one more time. To humanity. May they continue to show us all what is truly possible. Jiwoo touched her glass to his. To all of us. May we keep learning from each other. Outside the window, the stars shone eternal. And on a small station, orbiting a gas giant, different species worked together, learned together, grew together. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't always easy. But it was real. And sometimes, real was enough. The human was fragile. She had carried the injured predator home anyway. And in doing so, she had carried a new understanding to all who witnessed it. Fragility was not the opposite of strength. It was simply another form of it. Perhaps the most impressive form of all. The galaxy was learning. And humans were excellent teachers.